Welcome over to Automotive World, everyone. I'm your host, Vinny Mystery, and tonight we have a huge top story. Toyota, as we have reported on before, wants to continue making fun sports cars, but they don't want to do it alone. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? We're going to go into everything we have in the article here. I'm also going to give my opinions just on what we've seen with Toyota recently, but we have a great article here from Motor One from Adrian here, and we're going to have it linked down below, so please go, read his article as he deserves the credit for it. But we're going to talk about this because Toyota has been doing this for quite a while now. Obviously, we see on our headline the GR86 is up here, right? We obviously know where that car comes from, but for many enthusiasts, and Toyota has said this, and even Gazoo Racing has said this, Toyota wants to continue to build fun cars. Toyota and Gazoo Racing have, wanted to bring things back, like the MR2, like the Celica. But Toyota is saying that they can't justify the R&D money ultimately to bring back a niche product. When I hear that, I mean, given the size Toyota is, could Toyota do it? Absolutely. Does Toyota have the money? Absolutely. And would they sell a decent amount? I mean, because they're selling for what Supra and BRZ are, and, GR86 are. It's not bad, but they're not selling a ton. So, I mean, could Toyota eat up the loss and would they be fine? Yeah, they probably would, but they also are probably right. It's probably not worth them to put in all of that R&D money by themselves just to get little to nothing in return. Obviously, we have one of the cars here in the picture, which is very prominent to this article, and we have it mentioned down below here. Obviously, the Toyota GR86 is a Subaru BRZ. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. BRZ is, it's a very affordable sports car. It's rear-wheel drive. It gives you just enough power. I do wish maybe they would add a turbo to it or, a higher horsepower model, but it is not a bad car necessarily. There are some issues with it, but then again, every car has, performance issues, and obviously, if you're going to track it and things, there are going to be reliability issues. But it's not necessarily a bad car, especially for the price. Then, obviously, we have the most controversial one. The GR86 is really only controversial because of the whole oil starvation thing, but because it is Subaru, it is on their Japanese brand, I think we can kind of get away with that because there is still some Japanese pedigree there. However, the Supra. This is the one that everybody has a problem with, including myself, because it's not a Supra. Yes, it has the Supra badging on there, but it's a Z4. The powertrain is a Z4. The transmission now, even the manual, is a Z4. The chassis, essentially, is a Z4. Obviously, Toyota and Gazoo Racing have tuned it a certain way, as they have done with the GR86, but it's a BMW. That being, though, necessarily, we have information here in the article here, from Gazoo Racing president. And, they talk about, wanting them to crunch the numbers, how it doesn't work out in terms of, financial aspect. But they talk about, even in the shrinking future of this type of market for cars, that they cannot maintain sports cars as one brand. And that Toyota not only wants to build fun, exciting, enthusiast sports cars, but they need collaborations. And this is really, really big for a lot of reasons. Obviously, Lexus is the higher end version of Toyota. Obviously with things like the LFA and, LC500 and things, we've seen those V8s unfortunately go away. But we know Toyota has been trying to do, and Akio Toyoda himself, he's hinted at a Celica reboot. And many, high-ranking profile people in Toyota themselves have hinted not only at a Celica reboot, but also at an MR2 reboot. Now let's think of something here, right? If we look at this, I don't think Lexus, Lexus is obviously the higher end version of Toyota. Lexus, though, in my opinion, isn't really, they're not wanting to make enthusiast cars. The LC500 didn't do that great. The LFA was never meant to sell as a volume car. Lexus isn't, I don't think they want to do enthusiast sports cars. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for them not to do that, because when you're looking at an enthusiast sports car, whether it's super high-end being European or if it's something Japanese and affordable, I mean, other than obviously like the IS250 and things, I don't think you're necessarily looking at Lexus. I think the Supra even though it is a BMW, the current Supra is actually a really cool car. It's a really fun car. It's really, really fast. It's a nice car. It's just not naturally a Supra. The GR86 and the BRZ, I think, is a phenomenal car. It's very affordable, rear-wheel drive, great, input. You can still get a manual. It's not super powerful. I wish it had a little bit more power than 220 horsepower, or I wish you could get a turbocharged model, but decent amount of horsepower, lightweight, easy to flick around. It being naturally aspirated gives you just a more natural feel, so it's a really nice pure driving experience. Is it possible, Toyota could continue to work with Subaru? Absolutely, because they're going to still continue to make, GR86 and BRZ. But when we look at it, right, BRZ is struggling in sales. We reported that in our sales figure recently in that video. When we look at WRX is struggling, and Subaru as a brand is struggling. With the TS models, they just came out with those. Not really what everyone was expecting, but tuner ready. But the biggest thing is that Toyota needs collaborators, and I don't think if Toyota wants to do, I just don't know if Subaru has the resources. Because essentially all they would do is pull out maybe a WRX engine and put it in something else. But with STI unfortunately being gone for a few years now, and Subaru already being tied up with what they're doing now, with the size that they are and already working with the GR86, and also kind of a little bit of the reputation that the GR86 and BRZ have gotten, and even before that when it was the GT86 and things, I'm not sure. I think Subaru and that's going to stay, but I don't think Subaru's going to further, or Toyota's going to further expand on that partnership. I don't think they're going to further expand on the Lexus partnership, just because as a brand as well, Lexus isn't really saying that. When you think of Lexus, you don't really think of like, oh, okay, two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive sports car or enthusiast. You don't really think of that. One company, though, obviously Nissan has no connection with Toyota, so there's nothing going to go on there, and I don't think Nissan would want to do it because Nissan is just getting rid of the GTR right now. We do have the new Z, which is a really, really fun car, really good looking, really powerful. So Nissan in the enthusiast lineup actually has their own stuff kind of going, and they've got it. They just need to further expand on that, but they've got it. I don't think Toyota and Nissan are going to work together. I just don't see it happening. But we know that Toyota has a stake in Mazda. And we know from the last, auto show in Japan, Mazda all these years has continued to work with rotary. They tried to do a sports car, the financial crisis hit. They've done it with range extenders and things, but we know Mazda, and they've told us they continue to develop rotary. We know in the auto show we saw a sports car from Mazda. Could it be a new RX model? Because if you look at it, Mazda, the speed Mazdas haven't been back in a while. But when you look at the new Mazda 3 with that turbo engine, it's a pretty, it's not a super car, but it goes. It's quick. It's got some pep to it. Look at the CX-70 and the CX-90. I think if you told most people that Mazda would be coming out with a 2-row and a 3-row SUV with both hybrid powertrains, plug-in and traditional hybrid, with turbos and an inline 6 for Mazda, I don't think people would believe you. And let's look at this, because the Mazda 3 isn't doing bad. In our last sales figures, they were slightly lower, but the Mazda 3 is not doing bad. And that powertrain is shared across the brand. So it's very easy and it's very affordable to make that powertrain. It's a very good, reliable powertrain. But Mazda has been saying, and they've been teasing, and they've shown us rotaries. They continue to work on rotaries. They've showed us the concept that we saw at the auto show. And we also know that Mazda likes to make sports cars, and they're committed to it. And we know that MX-5 sales are severely, severely down. But we see what Mazda's doing with the SUVs. I think Toyota owning a stake in Mazda, I think this would be the best time for Toyota and Mazda to come together. Two very, very reliable brands. Minusing the Tundra issues and all that. But two very, very reliable brands. Toyota has reliable powertrains. Mazda has really reliable powertrains. Really reliable powertrains. If they wanted to use that 2.5 liter turbo, they can do that. They could use something from Toyota and Gazoo Racing. But I think if Toyota can make that RX concept come to life, or if they can reinvent the Mazda 3 and make a speed version or a Gazoo Racing version, or if Toyota wants another fun sports car, the MX-5 is struggling. Let's take the MX-5, we can reinvent it. Mazda can have their own MX-5 Miata, but Toyota can also have their version as well. Even though Mazda isn't necessarily the biggest car company in the world, Mazda has enough resources, they have the development. We know they're looking to do enthusiast level sports cars, with or without a rotary, and we know they want to do it. We know they want to do a rotary. They've told us, they've literally shown us, they literally keep telling us we're still trying to figure out rotary. And when you look at Toyota, and like I said, like even if Toyota was to get, redevelop the 3 or another hatchback, I mean, you've got powertrains that can give you 250 to 256 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque from Mazda. And those powertrains, those Skyactiv powertrains, have been out for quite a while. So all the kinks have been worked out. And they're pretty fuel efficient too for what they are. Could it be a little higher? Yeah, it could. But they're pretty fuel efficient for what they are. But Mazda also has that inline 6. Now, obviously, if Toyota's doing an enthusiast level sports car, it's going to be something smaller, so they're not going to probably fit an inline 6 in there, as much as we would love them to. But Toyota is enthusiastic, and Akio Toyoda has said that, and so has the Gazoo Racing division. Mazda has said they're enthusiastic, and they have shown us, and they have continued to make fun cars. Even SUVs that are boring cars, they're making them fun. I think Toyota already having a stake in Mazda, already having a partnership in Mazda, this would be the time Toyota and Mazda really come together, because the possibilities are infinite. Toyota can help out Mazda with labor and production, help them bring back the RX. Both of them together can do that. They could bring back an MR2 or a Celica. If Toyota just wants to put a turbocharged engine, like I said, that engine that is in the Mazda 3 turbo hatchback or the one that's in the CX-5 or even the CX-50, it's 250 to 256 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. That is on premium fuel. And Mazda makes that powertrain in all-wheel drive. When you look at this, Toyota's enthusiastic, Mazda's enthusiastic. Toyota says they want to do it, Mazda says they want to do it. And when you look at it, Toyota and Mazda both come out with concepts, like full model concepts, showing that this is what they want to build, and they keep coming out with powertrains, including Mazda being the rotary, even putting them in cars as a range extender, but saying we want to make rotary happen. Like I said, there's a lot of ways this can go. But Toyota saying this is a very good thing, because they have a great partner already in Mazda. And I think if Toyota and Mazda were to team up, between just Toyota and Mazda, forget the performance divisions, forget Mazda's speed not being there, forget even Gazoo Racing, just if Toyota and Mazda are to team up, they could build some incredible cars at so many different price points, and they would be awesome. They'd be great. They'd be amazing to drive. They'd be really reliable. And between Mazda and Toyota, especially for Mazda with the powertrains, Mazda's done a lot of the work, and so is Toyota. I think personally, this is a match made in heaven. That's just how I see it, but this is a match made in heaven. And I know they don't talk about that much in the article here. We do have a little bit here, that 5% share in Mazda, so that joint effort wouldn't be a surprise. And like I said, MX-5, let's redo it. Let's electrify it. Use that powertrain in the Mazda 3 Turbo, put it in the MX-5, maybe put it in a Celica or an MR2. Like I said, it comes in all-wheel drive. It's a match made in heaven. Toyota, Mazda did it with Fiat, with the 124 Spider. So Mazda has done this before. And like I said, it would make a lot of sense. They would share the costs, and honestly, there wouldn't be much cost because, like I said, if you look at it on a labor perspective, and if you need, space to build these cars and a production system, Toyota can help you there. But if Toyota needs help, like with a powertrain, with an all-wheel drive system, who can make a turbo engine for us, a really small, 4-cylinder, Mazda's got you covered. And Mazda has their own work with the MX-5. So personally, like I said, we're going to have to see what happens. But Toyota and Mazda, if you see this, no disrespect to what you guys did with the Subaru and the BMW. Great car, but it is what it is. No disrespect to what you did with Subaru, because the GR86 and the BRZ is a great car, but it is what it is. But Toyota and Mazda, you guys can team up. You have the experience, you still have the development, you have the capability, the money, and the resources, and ultimately, too, you guys have the dealer network to sell these cars at different price points and get different parts of the market. And honestly, if Mazda and Toyota were to do this, I fully have no problem saying right now, a Toyota and Mazda developed car would be better than a Toyota BMW developed Supra and a Toyota Subaru developed BRZ GR86. That is going to do it for now, everyone. Let me know what you think down below. Because personally, I'm hyped. I want to see Toyota succeed, and I really, as a Mazda fan and a Mazda owner, and knowing Mazda has the experience to do this, like I said, this is a match made in heaven for both companies. So let me know what you guys and girls think down below. Are you excited to see potentially a Mazda Toyota enthusiast car mashup, a little collaboration, or do you think they should go with someone else? Or do you think maybe they need a third person to join into the mix? I don't know who the third would be, but do you think somebody else needs to join into the mix? Let me know what you guys and girls think down below. That is going to do it for now, though. Like always, thanks for watching, everyone.